Support for the roundup comes from Symphony 3. Councils around the country are working hard to keep their communities safe and prepared before, during and after emergencies such as bushfires and floods. And in recent weeks, Symphony 3 has been working with councils around Victoria, including Greater Bendigo, Mildura, Ararat and Golden Plains, to create emergency dashboards, pulling together live data including weather, traffic, emergency incidents, unplanned and planned disruptions, news and social media feeds. An emergency dashboard is cost-effective and can be deployed in just 3 days. Find out more at www.symphony3.com. Coming up on the roundup, beach patrol services rescued with emergency funding. Yarra Council overturned at VCAT on a controversial rooming house proposal. A wind farm approved over the objections of 2 councils. A Bondi attack memorial relocated. Cessnock due to vote on a 40% rate increase. A Tasmanian council resigns after just 4 months. A UK council confirms the theft of personal information in a cyber attack. And an iconic New Zealand mayor dies at 78. Hello, I'm Chris Eddy. Welcome to the Local Government News Roundup. It's Friday the 9th of January, another summer series edition for you, bringing you up to date on happenings across the local government sector. Brought to you by the Victorian Local Governance Association with support from Symphony 3. Emergency state government funding has rescued beach patrol services at the 11th hour, according to the Herald Sun. Lifesaving Victoria was facing a major funding crisis that threatened to strip professional lifeguards from some of the state's most dangerous beaches. The organisation had approached 16 coastal councils asking for emergency cash injections of up to $250,000 each. But the Allen government has now stepped in with what's believed to be millions of dollars in emergency funding, ensuring paid lifeguard services will continue throughout the peak summer period. While the immediate crisis has been averted, Lifesaving Victoria warns more sustainable long-term funding solutions are needed to meet growing demand and protect Victorians at our beaches. A controversial rooming house project in Melbourne's inner north has been given the green light by VCAT, overturning the objections of Yarra City Council. The Age reports that the tribunal has approved a 13-room rooming house in a derelict Heritage Bank building on Victoria Street, Abbotsford, just metres from the North Richmond supervised injecting room. 5 independent councillors blocked the project last year, citing concerns about the area's existing issues, but VCAT member Christopher Harty ruled those concerns aren't valid planning considerations. However, the project's future remains uncertain. The developer says the reduced capacity from 17 to 13 rooms may make it financially unviable, and the building needs over $1 million in safety upgrades. Ararat Rural City Council is calling on parents to have a chat with their kids about pool behaviour this summer. Council CEO Dr Tim Harrison says lifeguards at the Ararat outdoor pool have been copping increased abuse and swearing from some children and teenagers in recent weeks. The council is reminding families that repeat offenders who continue to behave poorly or ignore staff instructions will be banned from the pool for the rest of the season. The mayors of Corangamite and Moyne Shire councils have expressed disappointment over the approval by the Victorian Planning Minister of the Swansons Lane wind farm. They've raised concerns about inadequate community consultation, a lack of social licence and the project's location outside the proposed renewable energy zones and too close to the Garvick township. Over 100 community objections were lodged to the proposal. Corangamite Mayor Kate Macon says the decision is difficult to understand given it fails to meet so many of the proposed guidelines in the draft Victorian Transmission Plan. Still in Corangamite, Lake Bullen-Mirai is currently affected by a blue-green algae bloom, prompting warnings from the council for community members to avoid all contact with the water. Corangamite Shire CEO David Ray said the lake is not owned or managed by the council, but it's delegated to manage certain parts of the land around the lake, not the lake itself. Residents are advised to keep pets and livestock away until officials declare the water safe. And Murrindindi Shire Council is breaking ground on a significant housing project in Eildon this month. The Eildon Key Worker Housing Project will deliver 33 bedrooms of accommodation specifically for essential workers across 2 council-owned sites. The development addresses a critical shortage of housing for health professionals, teachers and hospitality staff. In an innovative approach, the houses are being constructed off-site and will be transported to Eildon for installation from February. Waverley Council in New South Wales has relocated a menorah to a new location in Bondi Park, where it will form a temporary memorial to the victims of the December 14 terror attack. Discussions will commence between the New South Wales Government, Waverley Council, Jewish groups and families of the victims about plans for a permanent memorial at an appropriate time. Council said it's critical there's an appropriate consultation process and this will take time. Cessnock City Council will meet next Tuesday to vote on a proposed special rate variation of 39.9% for the 26-27 financial year. The proposal follows months of independent economic analysis and extensive community consultation. Residents raised serious concerns about affordability and cost of living pressures. In response, the council is now proposing to adjust base rates across all categories to reduce the impact on the most vulnerable ratepayers. Cootamundra-Gundagai Regional Council has provided an update on progress towards a demerger to re-establish separate Cootamundra and Gundagai Shire councils. A transition manager has been appointed to oversee the complex process of creating two independent sustainable councils by the target date of 1 July 2027. Key work includes developing separate governance structures, financial plans and operational frameworks, much of which needs to be completed by December this year. The Country Mayors Association of New South Wales has welcomed the Coalition's Shadow Ministry reshuffle, particularly the appointment of a Shadow Minister for Regional Crime Prevention and the retention of the Regional Health Portfolio. But Chairman Mayor Rick Furman of Temora Shire said it's disappointing that local government is no longer a standalone portfolio. And Muswellbrook Shire Council has requested the return of land and facilities given to the Richard Gill School, following concerns about the school's solvency and its proposed merger with a private religious education network. The council originally provided the assets to support a secular school focused on music and STEM education, and without assurances that the school will remain secular and evidence of its financial viability, the council is seeking to reclaim the property. More news out of New South Wales. The Museum of Contemporary Art Australia and Burwood Council have announced a multi-year partnership to connect communities across Sydney through contemporary art and cultural experiences. The partnership will kick off this year with MCA involvement in the Burwood Art Prize and a special live event in May featuring performances at both the MCA and Burwood's new Ford Lane music venue. Orange City Council is proceeding with the East Orange Harvesting Wetlands project, a $10 million stormwater harvesting initiative. To be completed in 2027, it will add 600 megalitres of secure water yield annually to help protect the town from future droughts. And Wollongong City Council will trial a 12-month mobile camera enforcement system starting in February to electronically monitor timed parking zones in high traffic areas. This is the Local Government News Roundup, Friday the 9th of January, brought to you by the Victorian Local Governance Association, the national broadcaster on all things local government, with support from Symphony 3, simple, connected customer experiences. They're working with a number of councils around Victoria and beyond at the moment on emergency dashboards, and what a good time to bring all of that information together to help your communities stay safe and prepared during emergencies. We've got bushfires, we've got flooding in different corners of the country at the moment. All of that info on an emergency dashboard, very, very helpful on the front page of your website. Have a look at Greater Bendigo, have a look at Mildura for a couple of examples of how that can work for you, and talk to the team at Symphony 3 who can help you bring all of that together in less than 3 days if necessary. More news from around the country. Goondiwindi Regional Council in Queensland is undertaking a major levee restoration project along the McIntyre River to repair erosion damage from recent floods and maintain the levee's integrity after nearly 70 years of protecting the town. The project, fully funded by the Australian and Queensland governments, is expected to be the largest ever undertaken by the council. The council has also welcomed the appointment of Damien Walker, Queensland's Director-General of Premier and Cabinet, as the interim Queensland Cross-Border Commissioner. Mr Walker will visit the region later this month and is expected to build on the foundational work of the late Commissioner Ian Levers by translating cross-border challenges into actionable solutions while a permanent commissioner is recruited. Fraser Coast Regional Council is celebrating a record-breaking 2025 for the Gattaca's Art Space in Maryborough, which achieved 15,000 visitors across 28 exhibitions, workshops and community events. Deputy Mayor Councillor Sarah Diana Farage said the milestone reflected the strength and growing appeal of the Fraser Coast's arts and cultural scene. In Tasmania, Glamorgan Spring Bay Council CEO Greg Torrey has reportedly resigned after less than 4 months due to his partner's serious medical condition requiring significant treatment. TasmanianCountry.com reports that Dick Shaw is now acting CEO, while the council prepares to recruit a permanent replacement, marking the 11th person to hold the role since 2019. A Northern Tasmanian council is facing fresh scrutiny over a defamation case that a judge ruled involved illegal use of public funds, according to a report from the Examiner. At the Northern Midlands Council's annual general meeting in December, residents passed a motion calling for the recovery of over $110,000 in ratepayer money spent on the controversial case. The defamation action was brought by Mayor Mary Knowles and General Manager Desmond Jennings against Councillor Andrew McCulloch over posts on a Facebook page he moderated. Last November, Justice Shane Marshall found the use of council funds was illegal and arguably corrupt conduct and ordered the Mayor and General Manager to repay their legal costs. But the council itself still spent over $110,000 in associated costs. The matter will now go before the council's January meeting for further consideration. And Huon Valley Council is urging residents to avoid skin contact with foxglove, a toxic declared weed in Tasmania, which is currently blooming around the valley. The council's natural resource management team is working with Tasmania Parks and Wildlife to map foxglove locations and identify priority areas for management. Residents are encouraged to report sightings using the iNaturalist app, and advice is available for undertaking control efforts on private property. A long-serving South Australian councillor has died after dedicating more than 15 years to the Gawler community. Paul Kosh, who was first elected to Gawler Council in 2010, passed away on Saturday, according to a report from Adelaide Now. Mayor Nathan Shanks said Councillor Kosh served with dedication and integrity. He was known for his passionate environmental focus and his volunteer work training guide dogs. Valet Paul Kosh. And the city of Fremantle is getting ready to host the Oracle Perth Sail Grand Prix later this month, billed as the world's most exciting racing on water. 15,000 ticket holders are expected to see high-speed foiling catamaran races at Bathers Beach over 2 days. The first of 3 years WA will host the championship event. Fremantle Mayor Ben Lawther said preparations for the event had been underway for months, and the city was set to be front and centre on the global stage. A reminder that you can get in touch with us here at the Roundup with your comments and feedback via the Send a Text button in your podcast player. Just be mindful that I have no way of responding to those, but rest assured your message will come through. You can also talk to us via LinkedIn or email lgweeklynews@gmail.com. I want to thank Anya for getting in touch after our last episode. We had the item about Sam Groth's decision to step down from State Parliament and the reaction to that by a local mayor at the time. Anya says the resignation of Mr Groth is troubling because by his own account it wasn't about public disagreement or policy debate. It stemmed from what he described as internal party conduct, some of which placed pressure on his family and undermined his ability to serve. She says if we want healthier democratic institutions, it's important to acknowledge those specific causes, not just the broader environment. Otherwise, the underlying problems remain unaddressed. I want to say hello and thank you also to Sue, who's recently come on board as a new subscriber. You can support the Roundup if you value the work that we do here by bringing all these updates together by making a small monthly contribution around $3 US per month. If you'd like to find out more about that, check out the details in your podcast player. Some stories of note from overseas before we wrap up. Just months after taking control of several English councils, Reform UK is facing accusations of betraying voters as authorities under its leadership unveil plans for significant tax rises and service cuts. The Financial Times reported that 4 Reform-led councils have announced above-inflation council tax increases, with some raising rates by the maximum 5%. That's despite campaign promises to cut your taxes ahead of last May's local elections, when the party won control of 9 councils for the first time. Communities Secretary Steve Reid has warned that councils could face legal action if they boycott companies linked to Israel, as such actions may violate government guidance and the Procurement Act of 2023. Reid has told those councils to focus on delivering local services rather than involving themselves in foreign conflicts. Kensington and Chelsea Council has warned that the personal details of hundreds of thousands of residents may have been stolen in a cyber attack, with criminals potentially able to use the information for scams. BBC News reports the council is working with the National Cyber Security Centre to investigate the breach, with priority being given to vulnerable individuals. In the US, a Washington state county has drawn high praise for its first ever generative AI policy introduced last November. The policy, developed by Whatcom County's executive branch, establishes 2 fundamental principles requiring human verification of all AI-generated content and protecting sensitive information from being entered into AI systems. A legal expert from Seattle University praised the guidelines as cornerstones of responsible AI usage across all sectors. In California, Richmond Mayor Eduardo Martinez faces a possible censure from the City Council for reposting conspiracy theories about the deadly attack at Bondi in Australia last month. KQED reported the posts included claims the attack may have been a false flag operation. Some Jewish organisations are calling for his resignation, but others, including the local synagogue's rabbi, prefer dialogue and education, with a proposed censure resolution requiring him to meet with Jewish leaders, complete anti-Semitism training and make a charitable donation. And we finish on a sad note today with Sir Tim Shadbolt, one of New Zealand's most iconic and longest-serving mayors, having passed away at the age of 78. Sir Tim served an unprecedented 8 terms as Mayor of Invercargill between 1993 and 2022, as well as 2 terms as Waitemata Mayor in the 1980s. Current Invercargill Mayor Tom Campbell told RNZ that Sir Tim was an extraordinary charismatic man who raised both the spirits and the profile of Invercargill. Prime Minister Christopher Luxon paid tribute, saying few New Zealanders have given such devoted public service as Sir Tim. Vale Sir Tim Shadbolt, dead at 78. And that's the latest from the Roundup. This edition, number 536, recorded on the morning of Friday the 9th of January and brought to you by the Victorian Local Governance Association, the national broadcaster on all things local government, with support from Symphony 3, simple, connected customer experiences. More information about this episode, including story links, can be found at lgnewsroundup.com. Don't forget, you can also follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and we're now on Blue Sky. The Local Government News Roundup is recorded in the city of Greater Geelong, Victoria, on the land of the Wadawurrung people of the Kulin Nation. Our next episode will likely come your way on Monday. Until then, thanks for listening, stay safe, and bye for now.